494 words about Goat Simulator. Published on my website, accordionsprout.com, 28th of June, 2024. I bought Goat Simulator for my PlayStation 5 when it went on sale because the video trailers for it were, well, I don't know. That's honestly the intellectual impression of Goat Simulator, by the way. I don't know what this game exactly is apart from a physics simulator. The player controls a goat, and after that, there isn't any explanation, or maybe more accurately, there isn't an explanation for what the narrative of the game is about. For starters, the goat can enter a nearby town, which is an urban district, but the zoning for it places agricultural spaces alongside commercial properties, and then there's an entertainment district alongside residential spaces. These civic curiosities aside, the player is encouraged to move the goat into the town and begin doing things. The goat can jump onto objects like cars, benches, roller coasters, bounce houses, trampolines, and doing all of these will result in some physical response. Literally, the goat is programmed to bounce or be propelled after interacting with objects. Depending on how well the player navigates the space, however, it's highly likely these interactions will result in the goat going limp as a rag doll and flying through the air before crumpling into a heap. And then it will stand back up. There's also people, I guess, and the goat can lick them. Licking them is the wrong word, though. The goat's tongue acts as a suction cup, and part of the appeal of Goat Simulator is capturing these human non-playable characters, NPCs, and dragging them into cars that then explode, sending them and the goat flying through the air and collapsing into the ground before both parties get up, apparently unharmed. I did this for 10 minutes, and then I stopped. After playing an accumulated hour of Goat Simulator, I believe I'm confident in the statement that I'm unlikely to continue playing the game or any of its sequels. But not because it's bad. Goat Simulator is chaos. Having the goat blow up gas stations or drag behind 18-wheelers by its tongue is less an opportunity to make a fun animal game in the vein of Untitled Goose Game. Rather, it's a chance to create a simulated environment where anything can be grabbed or thrown or bounced upon. This is likely a rhetorical gesture on the creator's part to remind people that goats, in real life, are animals that regularly create chaos. But Goat Simulator pushes the implication into the purest realms of the abstract. At some point, the game is not even a life simulator or an animal simulator. It's just a physics simulator that gives the player a nexus point to observe radical responses to input commands. So, what did I learn? The video game Goat Simulator has opened my eyes to the philosophical, physical, metaphysical, psychological, spiritual, and existential realities that goats have apparently been navigating over the millennia of their existence. Also, I have learned their tongues possess an inordinate amount of strength. Joshua Jammer Smith, 28th of June, 2024. Howdy, I'm Jammer. So, thank you so much for listening. I tremendously appreciate it, and I always say that, but for this one, I especially say it. Goat Simulator is a bizarre game, and the fact that you spent a couple minutes listening to me just riff about it, just thank you. I really appreciate it. Second, let's go over the boring stuff as usual. If you're watching this, please like, share, and subscribe, all that jazz. It helps me just personally because I know people are watching these videos and they like them. And then two, it helps the channel because it helps get me closer to whatever the algorithm on YouTube is these days, I guess. Just, it's there. It's something you're supposed to do. It's supposed to do, but if you can do it, I'd be appreciative of it. After that, the next thing, of course, is I have a Patreon, and that's to help me with this YouTube channel. It's to help me with accordionsprout.com, where I published these essays originally. It's to help me with my visual art that you can check out by following the links in my link tree and all that stuff. But then also, too, it just helps me because groceries are really expensive, and so is rent, and you know, building a PC wasn't cheap either, and I'd like to be able to play some more video games to write more essays to make more YouTube videos. So, if you want to help me out, I'd love it, but no pressure. Okay, Now let's get to the actual stuff, which is Goat Simulator, which is a game. Yeah, so like I said, I've played about an accumulated hour of Goat Simulator game, and I say accumulated because try as I might, I couldn't play this game for more than usually 10 to 15 minute stretches at a time because there isn't a story by any means. It's very much just this weird immersive sim where you're just a goat, but you're not even really a goat because this goat clearly has some manner of sentience pushing into the realms of Deadpool, where it's just like this goat clearly seems to have some understanding that it's in a video game of some kind. And then there isn't a story. We're not given any explanation for who this goat is, or why it's doing what it's doing, or why it possesses the powers that it does, or why the people of this world do it. You're just a goat, and you bump into people. You can lick things and grab them. And literally, the first image that I used on my website is my goat with its tongue attached to a car, and the car is upside down. And the car is upside down because I have literally dragged it around. A goat, which weighs, you know what, I'm not going to try to speculate on the weight of goats because I grew up in the city. My dad was the farmer. But there's no way, like, a 50-pound goat could carry a 2-ton car. All right? It's not possible. Except in Goat Simulator. And there's the original appeal of the game, is as you go along, you grab things with your tongue, you drag it around. And I use the word physics simulator in this essay because that's the closest I've got to explaining what this game is and how I believe the design is there. Because rather than working towards a narrative goal, the player is sort of creating these sort of implied mini-game structures, because if you grab somebody and you drag them 30 feet and then stop and let them go, you will literally throw that NPC away. Likewise, if you grab a car and run and then let it go, when it lands, it'll blow up. And then if you time it right, or if you put the right amount of force to it, depending on the arc of the vehicle, it can potentially collide with other vehicles, which create explosions. And all while you're doing this, there are little messages that pop down on the bottom with these little sub-goals and a scorecard. So there's a score that's in the upper left-hand corner, and so the goal of the game is to basically use the in-game physics mechanics in order to create this chaos to work towards a particular score point. And as far as I can tell, that's what Goat Simulator is. It's basically giving people unlimited access to a series of potential physics reactions and mechanics for the purpose of just scoring a goal. It's chaos, but in its own way, it's chaos with some manner of design to it. And that's why I say again in the essay is, I don't think I'm going to continue playing Goat Simulator anytime soon, but it's not because it's a bad game. Because, one, I hate negative reviews. Like, that's one thing you'll note. It's unlikely that you're going to see me write or record anything that's like, this game sucks, 2 out of 10, because I don't have time for that, and y'all don't have time for that. I like celebrating things that I find interesting, and in the case of Goat Simulator, yeah, I didn't really like the game that much, but I don't think it's a waste of time, nor do I think that it doesn't offer anything to players. I think people should play Goat Simulator. It's probably not the game that's going to change their life the way like a Final Fantasy game is going to change somebody's life forever. It's not as entertaining as like a Super Mario game, but it's not trying to be. It's just trying to be wacky, goofy chaos with a goat. And the fact that there's now at least 3 versions of this game, along with these kind of sub-DLCs, this game has clearly found a market and a fan base that love what it's doing. And to some extent, too, I love what it's doing. I like the idea of a sandbox and giving players just endless choice and possibility because it encourages play for its own sake. So, in the case of Goat Simulator, I'm at 6 minutes in my after section now, which is probably way more than I thought I would ever talk about this game. I think there is something to this. It's chaos, but not necessarily just chaos for its own sake. It's chaos for the sake of play. And play is important because, as a species, Human beings are unique in the fact that our play feeds into our imagination, which then helps us produce everything in the world that we have access to. The microphone that I'm using to record this was created through imagination and design. The computer that I'm using to record this was created through imagination and design. And video games have continually, over the course of their existence, inspired people to continue to innovate and, most importantly, just play. Is Goat Simulator going to result in some grand new discovery that is going to further impact human existence? The answer is, I don't know, man. It's a video game about a goat with a tongue. But I don't know. I didn't know that Goat Simulator existed until I saw it on my PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation Network. And then I bought it. I played it. And now here I am, months after the fact, writing an essay about it and then reading about it on, recording my thoughts into a microphone badly for the sake of seeing if somebody else might be interested in playing this game, and maybe there was some sort of impact from that. I guess just like the goat, I selected an input, and then there was an output. What that output was, who knows? We'll just have to see. But again, thank you so much for listening. I tremendously appreciate it. Go play some video games.